All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about episode 2 from the McMahon documentary. Now, the Mr. McMahon documentary, this time, episode 2, a little bit juicier than episode 1 was. Episode 1, recap, basically how Vince McMahon started, WrestleMania 1, so on and so forth. This time, they do a quick little run through with the first couple WrestleManias after that, focusing on WrestleMania 2 not being very big success because as far as money wise it was, but as far as success, having it in 3 locations didn't work out very well. That's number one. Number two, they talked about WrestleMania 3. Now, WrestleMania 3, they talked about the 93,000, however many in attendance, and that number has been exaggerated. All in all, yes, it's part of the WWE myth and lore and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be the apex of where wrestling started as far as WWE is concerned. Everything before that, after that, is pretty much murky, but WrestleMania 3 is going to be what put WWE on the map. No matter what anybody else says, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan was the main attraction. Was it the best match on the card? No. No, probably in most people's eyes, the best match was Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. If you get a chance, watch that match. It was masterful. So much so that rumor and innuendo is that Macho Man wrote it out on a piece of paper, line by line, move for move. So it was literally like a choreographed play. So, I mean, that's pretty cool to be able to do that on that big a stage and be able to remember all the lines. Haha. Now, one of the things that they talked about as they were getting ready to go into that was the union scandal. Yes, there was a union scandal. Jesse the Body Ventura tried to form a union, and Hulk Hogan was the one who snitched him out. So, depending on which side of the fence you lean on, um, wrestlers say that Vince McMahon threatened to fire them if they didn't stick around or if they unionized. Vince McMahon says, it was no big deal. Nobody really wanted to join it anyway. Will we ever know the truth? Probably not. If you listen to Jesse Buddy Ventura, he had a ton of people who were willing to go union, but they weren't willing to risk their jobs at that point. So, it is what it is. Okay, then going in through, we start talking about the downfall of Hulk Hogan. Now, I wish if they were talking about the downfall of Hulk Hogan, they talked about WrestleMania 6. Ultimate Warrior comes in, breathes life into the big WWE machine because Hulk Hogan was starting to get a little bit stale, I guess. But if that's the case, I wish that they would have gone in later on whenever they were talking about the Iraqi war scandal, which was we made Sergeant Slaughter a bad guy, an Iraqi sympathizer, and then the Iraq war started. And they kind of like had to blow through it because they were getting too many death threats and bomb threats and all that kind of stuff, which is actually real. I've actually met Sergeant Slaughter, and he told me that his wife almost left him because she was like, I can't keep doing this. She had to leave the house along with the kids and go stay with her parents for a while so that people weren't actually going there. They actually had like armed guards follow her around so that nobody would attack her. I mean, that's legit stuff. That is crazy. I think, I'm not 100% sure, WrestleMania 7 was actually supposed to be in an outdoor venue, and because they were so afraid that what was going to happen to Sergeant Slaughter or somebody was going to try to take out Sergeant Slaughter, they actually put it into an inside venue. It could also have been that they didn't have very good ticket sales. Either way, WrestleMania 7 was supposed to be in an outside venue. They put it into an indoor venue. So I don't know what the truth is behind that or not. But while they were talking about that, they never hit on whenever the Ultimate Warrior tried to hold up Vince McMahon for money for the match, which I wish they would have, since they're already going through a lot of the processes of talking about stuff that most wrestling fans already know. Like, most fans knew that Andre the Giant had had back surgery and he had to come out of it. I mean, those are things that most wrestling fans, like I said, know. So dive a little bit deeper. I think that they should have at least hinted on that scandal, because it is a scandal. Whether it's big or small, it's still there. And what ended up happening is the Ultimate Warrior held up Vince McMahon, said, I want so much money or I'm not going out to the pay-per-view. Vince McMahon paid it. Ultimate Warrior went out there, did his thing, and as soon as he hit the curtain, he was fired. And that ultimately led to some of the tension that would come up in the later part of the episode, which is the steroid scandal. So while we're talking about the steroid scandal, There was a lot of wrestlers who didn't like Vince McMahon and thought that this was a great time to try to take him down. Nails was one of them. Most people don't even know who Nails is. He was in there for a little bit between 92 and 93. Once again, tried to hold up Vince McMahon for more money at a show, thought that he wasn't getting paid enough. Actually, I think got into a physical altercation, got fired. Basically, never heard from again as far as WWE goes, right? And lo and behold, once this steroid scandal comes up, one of the witnesses that's trying to say that Vince McMahon forced him to take steroids is that guy. So the problem with that kind of stuff is that you can never know who is there to tell the truth and who is there to start taking out Vince McMahon. Now, I think that do I think that he was forcing people to do steroids? No, I don't think that he was being forced to do steroids. I think that he didn't stop them. He definitely didn't stop them. And did he help? Did he like it when some of his bigger wrestlers were even bigger? Yes, he is a very much larger than life type of wrestling fan. He loves when his guys are big and beefy. He also likes people that are, bodybuilders. That's why he started his own bodybuilding fed. I mean, how much more can you do that? They also did, in that time, they also did hint at another failed business venture that he took. They talked about the WBF, but they also didn't talk about IcoPro. IcoPro was being pushed to the tilt, and that was basically like his protein powders and that kind of stuff. They ultimately got done with that too around the same time because, it had a negative connotation because Vince McMahon was going through a steroid trial. So they talked about that. The star witness was obviously Hulk Hogan. If Hulk Hogan would have said, yes, Vince forced me to do this, everything would have blown up. But how far would it have gotten if Hulk Hogan would have told the truth on the Arsenio Hall? I know that the feds were already looking at him at this time, but would they have gone, hey, if Hulk Hogan's going to lie on camera, has Vince McMahon been lying this entire time? Or was it, we got to tear this guy down to begin with? That's up to you. That's all going to be conjecture of the fans. Now, next, another one that they brought up was the child abuse ring. Now, that one has been kind of talked about. If anybody's watched The Dark Side of the Ring, it was brought up. There was 3 people that were named in that. One was the ring announcer, one was an upper management, and the other one was Pat Patterson. Now, I've actually met Pat Patterson. That was a really cool moment. Do I think that he did that? I would hope not. Me personally, I hope that he did not do anything like that. I do know that he was gay. I do know that it was common knowledge that he was gay. Did he hit on the wrestlers? I would imagine so, just for a simple fact that you're around him all the time. You start drinking, inhibitions start getting lower, that kind of stuff. So now, if you read Pat Patterson's book that he just recently came out with, he tried to keep it in the closet, but apparently a lot of people already knew about it. So once again, like the author said in the documentary, you can only believe wrestlers and the wrestling business so far, So going back to the child ring, gets reported, they investigate, they fire the 2 guys, and Pat Patterson resigned. I think that was more of a, hey, I'm just going to lay low while this is happening. Do I think he was still in contact with Vince McMahon? Definitely. Was he on the payroll? Maybe not. Or maybe he was just paid under the table. That wouldn't be unheard of either. Now, the next, after we get done with the child ring, then we go into the rape case with the first female referee. To this day, they do not acknowledge her. They acknowledge Jessica as the first female wrestling referee. I don't know if they're going to start doing it now, but one of the things that has been said is that Vince McMahon forced himself on her when she complied and that kind of stuff. She was ultimately fired because one of the clauses in her contract was that she was not going to sleep with the WWE roster or anything like that. And Vince McMahon supposedly fired her because he'd slept with her and he's a part of the roster. Now, once again, doesn't make him look very good. It kind of a little bit of innuendo where it says, hey, at the end of it, statutes of limitation had ran out. She can't sue anything. He can't go to jail for anything. But then that got lifted, and here just recently, he paid a couple $1 million to her so that they'd settle out of court. Now, most people will tell you that when big companies like that settle out of court, it's not necessarily an admission of guilt. It just means that they don't want to go to court because they don't want to waste the time or something like that. Once again, it's going to be in the hands of the actual fan. It's up to you what you want to believe. You know, did he do it? Did he not? I think as we get further into this, we're going to find out that yes, it's probably possible because she's not the only one that's going to speak up and say stuff about this. Couple key points that I thought was pretty funny. One of the biggest meme related things is going to be coming from Tony Atlas when he says, "I didn't like Pat Patterson." And when they asked why, he said, "Because he pulled his pecker." I mean, where did that come from? I think it's hilarious. If it actually happened, I feel sorry for the guy because I don't want him to be harassed. But that is going to probably be the biggest used meme in the entire documentary. I just have a feeling about that. So as we left off from this part of the documentary, it looks like we're getting ready to go into the next phase because they've already hinted at Hulk Hogan going to WCW. So I would imagine the next thing is about him almost losing his business with Monday Night War. Now, I think it's funny because Stephanie McMahon famously said it, why do we call it the Monday Night Wars? There was only one. It was only one war. Anyway, so I hope you guys are enjoying the documentary. My overall thoughts of the documentary are, once again, we're getting a little taste of some information that we may not have gotten before. But if you're a big wrestling fan, you've already heard a lot of this stuff. You've already known about the attendance scandal. You've already known about steroid scandal. Now, one of the things that they didn't touch on, and I think they should have, because it kind of shows how dire WWE was at the time of that steroid scandal, they actually had a successor if Vince McMahon were to lose, because it was a very real possibility that he was going to lose. Like, I can't stress that enough. If Hulk Hogan would have said the things that supposedly the feds wanted him to say, and they say, yeah, he was doing it, he was going to go to jail. That means that he would no longer be there. He had already set up a contingency plan that Jerry Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett's dad, would have taken over, supposedly. That is all rumor and innuendo, but that's originally what the plan was, is that if he goes to prison, Jerry Jarrett would step in. What would we have had? There's a couple of things that kind of makes me go, looking back at the last two episodes, a what if series. What if Jerry Jarrett would have taken over from 93 on? Would we have the Attitude Era? Would we have WWE? Would he have been that strong of a booker? Because yes, he was a good booker, but it was a small little territory. He had never actually grown and expanded to anything else. Yes, he had Jerry Lawler as help and that kind of stuff, but would he have been as successful as WWE ended up being? Right? Now, the other what if I was thinking about after the first episode was, what if Hulk Hogan wouldn't have been named as, Vince McMahon's go-to star? What if it really would have been Dusty Rhodes? Would Dusty Rhodes have been able to hold on to the momentum that he did? Because just kind of go down a rabbit hole with me for just a second. If Dusty Rhodes was to become the new Hulk Hogan, or would have become the Hulk Hogan of the WWE, that means that everything that would have happened in WCW around that time, in that era, would not have happened. Would the Four Horsemen would have been as big and prominent as they were, because they needed Dusty Rhodes as a catalyst, because Dusty Rhodes was one of the main bookers of that time. Would we have seen War Games? Would we have seen all these different storylines? Would WCW have been better if Dusty Rhodes wasn't doing the booking? How long would fans have been in behind Dusty Rhodes? And would Dusty Rhodes have been able to become as popular as Hulk Hogan? Is Dusty Rhodes popular? Yes. But is more of his popularity now because of the nostalgia of what he was before? Maybe. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But if you like that idea and you like to comment on that, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What would have happened if Jerry Jarrett would have taken over WWE? And what would have happened if Dusty Rhodes would have started Hulkamania instead of Hulk Hogan? Tell me what your thoughts and opinions are. Can't wait to see what episode number 3 looks like. Please like, subscribe. Really love it when you help me out with these subscriptions and that kind of stuff and watching these videos. Much love to you. I very, very much appreciate it. Love doing this. Have a great day. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to others. And have a good one. We'll see you next time.